Welcome to the Natural History Cupboard. Come on in.
And welcome back to the Natural History Cupboard podcast, a place where the weird and wonderful parts of the natural world come together. I'm your host, Gareth, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Aaron. Aaron, what have you been up to this week?
I'm gonna say just straight away, not much. You know why? I've updated you.
Yeah.
The update will come for you guys later. But yeah, it's
I've not been up
It's
to
been
much because
very busy time.
I've sick children and just planning Christmas stuff and
Yeah,
building a T-Rex as well, building the Lego
that's
T-Rex.
been cool to follow along. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a nightmare trying to set up getting things off a phone onto a computer. It seems that my computer technology doesn't like me. So, I mean, I'm surprised all of this stuff works. But yeah,
Glitching because you're here.
it just doesn't like me. But yes, yeah, I don't think I've been up to much either. So,
Fair
well,
enough. We'll just jump straight on into the.
I think we may as well, yeah, and do it.
It's the news.
Right, well, we're into this week's news. Aaron, you're starting things off.
I am. Yeah.
You are.
So first up comes to us from Bird Guides. This one I've relatively recently we started doing more from Bird Guides, and they seem to have good.
Always good stuff
headlines.
from them.
Rare prehistoric species restored to Solway Coast.
Nice.
This is the news that RSPB Mershead in Dumfries, Scotland, is welcoming a new resident in the form of tadpole shrimp.
Hey, they're cool.
They are cool. And also, weirdly, I saw a video from the US of tadpole shrimp somewhere else out there. It was really cool. Anyway, the animal was recently hatched on site thanks to the wet weather and represents only the third known population in the UK.
Ours are extremely rare.
They are, yeah. They're endangered in this country. And it's a coalition of conservation efforts that have helped place these egg batches at the site last year. So really important victory there.
Also another conservation win. This is from the Department of Conservation in New Zealand. I've got two New Zealand bird stories this week, so we'll go with those. So this is the news that a population of little spotted kiwis have been found living on the mainland. Back in July, their rangers basically were surprised and delighted to find the little spotted kiwi in Westland, the first sighting on the mainland of New Zealand in nearly 50 years.
Wow.
And there's a nice little video of them basically putting their arm into one of these burrows that the kiwis live in and pulling out one of the chicks to be able to ring and check out and everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
Really good news that kiwi populations are doing well.
Good stuff. Next one comes to us from All That's Interesting. Scientists able to see preserved dinosaur embryos inside 200-million-year-old eggs. So Massospondylus carinatus, an African bipedal herbivore, is the subject of this particular marvel. Scientists were able to scan the Massospondylus nest with a stadium-sized particle accelerator. For those of you who are not aware of what the Hadron Collider is or particle accelerators, a stadium-sized particle accelerator is huge. It's what gave the Flash his powers in the TV show when it went wrong and the lightning.
But that's why we don't use Star Labs, because they're just unreliable.
Exactly. It's an amazing bit of kit. Anyway, this accelerator has aided in the creation of a 3D render of the baby dinosaurs' skulls, and the scans are amazing. Really amazing.
So my next one is it's also from the New Zealand Department of Conservation. It's kakapo are set to have a major breeding season in 2026, something to look forward to for next year. It's predicted to be the largest yet, triggered by a rare mast year, which is basically where the fruiting trees, the rimu trees that these guys depend on for the fruit, are set to have a massive crop this year.
Wonderful.
So perfect to set up a breeding cycle which begins around Christmas to January time, with the male birds booming in their territories, followed by the eggs in February and March, with the chicks expected to become independent by September to October 2026. So we won't actually know if it has been a success until this time, next year. So the season brings excitement and challenges, including managing increased numbers and potentially introducing younger females to sort of breeding groups as the population grows. Say conservationists in the area, and the numbers have just, well, hopefully, are going to boost even further.
Awesome stuff. My final headline comes to us from BBC News, and technically, without meaning to, I did steal this from Gareth, so apologies. White storks back in London after 600-year absence. So white storks,
Stalks.
yeah, they're native to the UK, but as with all things British and wildlife, the relationship turned toxic and a messy, bloody divorce occurred, resulting in their extinction here. Now, a flock of 600 are to be reintroduced to East Brookend Country Park, starting in October 2026.
I can't wait to see East Storkenders.
Yes,
just basically EastEnders, but everyone's a stork.
and far more entertaining.
Yeah, just basically it's a pub full of storks.
That
It's
would
going to be
good.
very smelly.
Very messy.
So my final one is also from the BBC, and it's some long-awaited news, basically, for the future of the Wild Planet Trust, which is Newquay and Paynton Zoo.
Yeah.
And that's the good news, that it is going to be safeguarded for the future because it has now a new owner.
Yes.
And it's not going to be sold off or, broken up and got rid of. Essentially, a Dutch company called Labima has literally today announced that they have bought Newquay Zoo and Paynton Zoo as well. Now, this is basically one of the largest leisure conglomerates in the Netherlands, and they have the largest zoo in the Netherlands, which I can't remember the name of at the moment. But they have basically put a lot of money and a lot of effort into animal welfare and expanding on the collections that they have. So hopefully this is a good sign for Paynton Zoo and for Newquay Zoo.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a shame that this didn't come in time to save Living Coasts, which was one of my favourite zoos to go to in the UK. Such a small and unique collection, that one.
It was unique, yeah.
So yeah.
You did say Netherlands, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, the Netherlands have some good zoos. I'm looking forward to trying to have a look at some.
Whilst you do your main article, I will look up the name of the collection in the Netherlands.
Actually, well, before I do move on completely, I happen to know that there are a couple keepers in those zoos that do listen, but one in particular has actually written into us in the past. I'm not going to name it because I don't want to identify them during this time, but just to say, I hope all of you guys are doing okay, and that this is the light at the end of what has possibly been quite a concerning tunnel for you. And if that person wants to reach out just to a chat with the two of us, and just friendly support, then please do. You're more than welcome to. With that said, if any of you have any articles that you'd like to send in to us, please feel free to do so. They might end up in the headlines, or we might find that they need a little bit extra, and they'll go into the main article, which is today.
Just before you do, I'll say
go on.
the number. It is basically Safari Park, Beeksy, Bergen. Yeah, which I've heard really good things about that place, but I could never remember the name of it. So hopefully, it does lead to some really big things for Paynton Zoo.
Good luck to all of you, and good luck to the company taking over. I'm sure we will be down to visit. I'm sure.
I think you're about to do a Star Wars reference then.
Was it?
We will be watching with great anticipation.
Yeah, we'll watch your career with great interest. Yeah, actually, along the lines of that quote, though, maybe we should see if we can get someone in from that company to for an interview. Like for
I wondered where you were going with that. What to
basically
mule or what?
No, just to see like what their organization is about, their history, their zoos that they got, what their plans are for Paynton and Newquay.
It'd be interesting if we can.
I think it would be. Anyway, on with the main article, and it comes to us from Le Monde, which I believe means the world in French, because it's similar to El Mundo in Spanish. Anyway, France returns stolen dinosaur skeleton to Mongolia. I think this is awesome. Really awesome, especially like the way it kind of came about. Anyway, something common in many a museum's history is the harbouring of stolen artifacts.
There's no such thing about that in British museums.
Absolutely not in Britain.
Rare.
And yet something far too rare is the returning of said stolen artifacts to their rightful owners, ideally with partnerships in place that allow for artifacts to officially and legally tour so that people around the world might learn from them in a positive manner. Sure, we've all cheered for Indy as he breaks a Nazi's nose to steal something before they do, or
to the museum.
belongs to the museum, or to stop them from stealing that something so that it can be in a more democracy-rich environment. But the fantasy is often a lot cleaner than the reality, in which many locals are walked over or otherwise exploited for these things to occur. I'm thinking of the way we handled the Egyptian pyramids.
I was going to say, did anyone think about those poor people who got trapped in those tombs when the big ball rolls down, or when Indy's like in various different? Oh, sorry, we're not talking about Indiana Jones. Okay.
I have it on somewhat good authority because we went to visit a ancient village in I say ancient, very 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 old village in Gran Canaria. That is like a big walk around museum thing, and they practice mummification in this period. Now these tribes, they would have come from Africa, to the islands, and I won't name the individual who worked at this museum, but they
Harrison Ford
had I have on good authority that British people stole at least one mummy from that area too.
Fair enough. I mean,
anyway,
it's just we've been very good at doing that over the years.
Very good at stealing things. One thing that comes to mind is British people basically need only think of the way Lord Elgin blatantly took advantage of the blind eye relationship between Britain and the Ottoman Empire to smuggle pieces of Athena's Parthenon temple. That's the famous Greek temple in Athens.
The Elgin marbles. Do you know what? For the longest time as a kid, because where I lived in Scotland, the town down the road was called Elgin.
And I always
thought, I thought they were just two large, like marble,
the glass marbles,
just giant marbles that were taken. I mean, this is like being a little kid. I was like, well, why have they got marbles from Elgin?
What's so special about that?
There's a train station, I guess.
A museum with two little marbles in it. These were played by the ancient founders of Elgin, Scotland. If you're not aware, the Parthenon is Athena's temple in Athens. Anyway, Lord Elgin did this whilst the Ottomans ruled Greece, a period before the Brits and the Ottomans fell out again. So at this time, they were largely ignoring the fact that the Greeks wanted their freedom from this rule. And to this day, the Greeks rightly campaign for the return of their stolen marble. Anyway, in this case, we're talking about fossils that were taken without permission from the Gobi Desert in 2015.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So 10 years ago, it's taken 10 years. It crossed through South Korea, and upon entering France, customs officials seized and confiscated them. The species in question isn't a small issue either. We're not talking about fragments of some small raptor here. This is the Asian T-Rex itself, Tarbosaurus bata, the entire skeleton.
Wow.
The entire skeleton was stolen and smuggled into France. It's extremely rare.
This species. It's 40 foot long.
It's huge. It's an extremely rare species to find fossilized, and the specimen itself dates back 70 million years. At the time of its confiscation, this specimen would have been worth about $800,000 in today's money. But the experts suggest that now it could be worth up to 3 times more than that.
Nice.
After the market for such things exploded in the years since. The return of the fossils comes at the culmination of a long and intensive investigation into just how this could have happened, as well as at a time when Mongolia is reaching out to reclaim lost relics that belong to the country but are being held elsewhere. Their plan is to collect these for the benefit of essentially cultural education in Mongolia. And this skeleton is destined for a yet-to-be-opened museum in the near future. Until then, this Tarbosaurus bata is going to be studied and restored. Coincidentally, 2015, the year that this Tarbo was confiscated, is also the year that actor Nicolas Cage returned his Tarbo skull to Mongolia. It's an item that he spent $276,000 for at a New York auction in 2007. The story goes that he and Leonardo DiCaprio were actually trying to outbid each other for it, and ultimately Cage won, but was only the owner for 7 years because the Department of Homeland Security stepped in, contacted him to inform him that the specimen had itself been stolen and smuggled out of Mongolia before before it even came into the auction room.
That feels like, I mean, there's a bit of an irony that Nicolas Cage, the star of National Treasure,
Yeah.
is holding stolen archaeological artifacts.
Yeah. For this most recent return, though, France held a special ceremony, inviting Mongolian officials to join them in Paris for an official handover of the Tarbosaurus. And I think that's a really nice touch on the end of this story. This actually happened on Monday, just gone. So this is really, really like fresh news, really. So we're only recording this 2 days after that. And I think it brings to light a couple of things, really. Firstly, obviously, and most obviously, the stealing, smuggling, and hoarding of artifacts from other countries unfairly. I've always been a supporter of getting the Elgin marbles back to Greece where they belong, and perhaps striking up a friendly accord with Greece in which we can maybe borrow some artifacts for a limited amount of time and send them back.
The fact that we have 3D printers that can do such a good job, we don't need to have the original thing anymore.
Yes, which brings me on to the second point that I think this raises: private ownership.
Yeah.
I was going to say with one of my headlines earlier, I've just got my 3D printer down. Hopefully I can get it running. But that nest of, was it Mesospondylus carinatus eggs? We reported on this a couple of years ago. Do you remember the museums were banding together to make 3D renders that you can now download so you can 3D print it at home, right? And I believe one of our former colleagues does this.
Yeah, he does a really good job with some of the bits you can get.
His pteranodon's awesome. It's hanging in the room. It's awesome.
It's not a small thing either.
No, it's not. It's damn near life size, I'd say. Not quite, but getting there. Anyway, with that in mind, like I just don't. I do worry about these specimens being in private ownership and not being able to be studied and reconstructed by scientists.
Yeah. The moment they disappear into private hands, you run the risk of them just becoming something in a vault that no one ever sees. It's work.
Or an ego trip.
Yeah.
Rumor has it. Now, I don't know if this is true. So take this with a pinch of salt. But apparently, Vince McMahon, the former owner of WWF,
right,
in his conference room. So in a conference room, you'd have a long table with chairs down the sides at the end. Above his chair in the conference room is a Tyrannosaurus skull.
I like that as a power move, actually.
It's a power move, yeah. It's clearly an ego trip. But that Tyrannosaurus skull can never be studied. How big is that compared to Sue or Stan?
I doubt that would be a real one, because that's not something you can easily have hanging like that.
But other actors who would be on much less money than Vince McMahon is on. Vince McMahon is minted by minted standards.
Yeah.
Or was. I don't know if he is after the lawsuits for his alleged behavior, we should say, which is, I mean, alleged, but
it's okay. I think you could meet him in the ring, couldn't you? You could settle it there.
Yeah. But I
make an interesting
believe
thing.
that he's rich enough to have a Rex skull, especially when I'm sure there's an actor that has a Tyrannosaurus.
Well, I think it's Leonardo DiCaprio.
It may well be, yeah.
There's a few of them that have, interesting collections of things.
Yeah, but yeah, the sooner these things can go back to museums and ideally back to the museums in the lands that they've come from, the better. And I think it's fantastic.
That's why I think 3D printing is the way forward. Not only that, I think you should be able to go to the museum that has, like, go to Greece, see the Elgin marbles, go to Mongolia where this one's going to be, and see that Tarbosaurus. But in the gift shop, say, or on their website, you could pay and download
Oh my god,
the
that's a really
3D
good idea.
print.
That's
So you
such a
could,
simple idea
or
as
you
well.
could go in the gift shop and you could literally buy, a 3D printed tooth from that Tarbosaurus, or, you could buy the file to 3D print it, because you could literally then go, okay, so you could be raising money that way.
So long as it's not stupid money, because the reels to build these things are expensive. Just to build little models is
Yeah.
expensive. As long as it's not stupid money, I would be happy knowing that my £5 for this
The
downloadable
file,
kit
yeah,
has gone towards helping in this case, a brand new
museum,
Mongolian
yeah,
museum keep its funds
yeah,
going.
yeah. I think that's the way to do it.
I think that's a really good and such a simple idea as well. Like, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the way to do it. And by having then a really good detailed 3D version of it in the museums around the rest of the world, you can
Mm.
literally just have it out and go, here you go, have a hold,
Yeah.
to something that you couldn't normally do. Also for the people who then go, oh, it's not a real dinosaur skeleton. It's like, that's fine, but in most museums you go into, it's not a real skeleton that is displayed. It's a plaster one, or
Yeah.
a replica, because the real one is far too delicate.
And even if it is the real fossil in front of you, that's not an actual skeleton. That's minerals that have leached in and taken the place of,
Yeah.
of those
So
birds.
yeah, I don't think there's any real downside to it. But yeah, that's
I
really
like
cool.
the idea of it. Plus, it's not exactly. One of the counter arguments would be that it's a lot of plastic, but this isn't single use plastic.
No.
This is quite durable
Hmm.
plastic that can be then
Well,
shipped off
PLA
around
is
the
made
world.
is made from vegetable.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, I hadn't thought of that. That's true. Yeah, but that's the main article. I think it's a wonderful story. I like that France and Mongolia made a little ceremony out of it on Monday.
I'm hoping they did it whilst dressed in T-Rex costumes.
That would have been good.
Yeah, that would have been the way to do it.
Yeah.
So, should we move into our creature feature?
Let's do it.
It's the creature feature.
Right, well, we're into this week's creature feature, and this is one I've been planning on doing for a while now. It's a bird that I think.
Hang on.
No. Ah, very good. It's a bird that has appeared in the podcast in I'm gonna say one of our New Year's quizzes as a creature that we had to draw
That's
based on
lovely.
its scientific
Yeah.
name, which we'll get into at some point. But to basically introduce this creature, it's best to turn to the internet, the land of clickbait, basically with titles like "The Dino-bird that stares into your soul," "The most evil creature alive," and of course, "Real-life prehistoric monster or dinosaur found in Africa." Things like that, with thumbnails of a shoebill staring straight down the camera with its trademark "I know what you did" glare.
Like this.
Yeah, basically, congratulations, you found the algorithm's favorite bird.
Yeah.
So we are looking at the shoebill. But as you could probably guess, this is where the internet gets it wrong. This is not prehistoric. This is not evil. And calling it a dinosaur bird is redundant, because all birds are literally dinosaurs. So it's a dinosaur.
When people call shoebills dinosaurs, it always reminds me of when you go in the supermarket and people are buying the dinosaur-shaped turkey.
Yeah, yeah.
You mean the dinosaur-shaped dinosaur?
Yes. So every chicken nugget, every pigeon, every soggy park duck is a descendant of theropod dinosaurs. So the shoebill isn't some lone surviving relic from prehistoric times. It's just a really, really good at sort of, looking aesthetically pleasing.
Mm.
So what on earth is a shoebill, and how does it, what's it look like? Well, the shoebill, or Balaniceps rex, which is its scientific name, is one of the most visually striking birds on the planet. Let's break down its stats. So it stands about 150 centimeters tall at the highest, anywhere between 110 to 150. And they can weigh anywhere between 4.5 to 7 kilos. So a decent bird. This is not a small bird by any stretch of the imagination. Their wingspan as well is quite impressive, up to 260 centimeters. That's nearly the width of an adult lion, stretched nose to tail, which I've put in a couple of interesting measurements. No whales in this one, or football pitches, but length of an adult lion. There you go. Their bill length, which is probably one of the most impressive features, is about 18 to 24 centimeters, and its width is 10 to 13 centimeters at its widest point. So it's
Yeah, it's
almost
a big bill,
square. Yeah. That bill is nearly the length of a Subway sandwich. A foot long, basically.
Duh.
Although
Give me a minute.
it's not made of bread. Plumage is a soft slate grey colour that can look blue in certain lights. And I think their feathers are gorgeous looking, sort of almost diamond shaped, triangular ends to them, with fluffy helmeted feathers on the back of the head that give them a nice little crest. And their eyes, one of their other most striking features, are pale yellow or grey, contributing to that "I know your secrets" expression. And they do stare right at you.
Yeah.
So their bell.
They look into your soul. They're like,
Yeah, oh yeah.
pierces through, doesn't it?
Well, yes, until you know how bright they actually are.
Yeah,
They're not
yeah,
the
yeah.
brightest bird, but they are lovely. Anyway, the bill isn't just big, it's architecturally impressive. It's got a hooked tip, like a fishing gaff. It's ridged on the sides to basically help stop prey from escaping, slippery prey. And the inside edges are sharp enough to decapitate a fish and even small reptiles as well. So
Right.
they can chomp through things pretty quick. Strong enough to crush a lungfish's skull. Evolutionary, this is a bird's beak that is designed for the kill. So the shoebill has earned a collection of names over the time. You've probably heard it called at least one of these by either someone on a YouTube video or in a book or wherever, depending on where you are, and obviously the age of the book or the video will dictate what this bird gets called. So the obvious one, shoebill. The bill looks like an old-fashioned clog. If you slapped a clog on a bird, basically you kind of get that, and that's where the name came into existence from Dutch explorers seeing this bird and thinking, yes, it's got a shoe on its face. I don't like it as much. Certainly not as much as the whale bill or whale-headed stork. Other European explorers thought the bill resembled a whale's head in miniature. Granted, they'd been traveling for weeks in tropical heat, but you can kind of see their logic to an extent. Yet again, not 100% what it looks like either.
No.
The other name it gets is the shoebill stork. This is the other sort of common name for it. Many early naturalists assumed that it was in fact a stork and had long legs, so therefore stork, and lived in wetlands, so therefore stork.
Yeah.
But shoebills don't behave like storks. They don't nest like storks. They don't vocalize like storks, and crucially, they're not storks.
Yeah.
So
It's very important, that bit.
they are, in fact, a member of the Pelecaniformes, which can you guess what the Pelecaniformes has in it?
It wouldn't be Dalmatian dogs, would it?
It is, exactly, yeah. Now, so they're in the same group as pelicans, most interestingly. Herons, egrets, ibises, and their closest relative, although still its own genus, Scorpus, hammercops, which are smaller.
Yes, I remember this. This is very much a relationship that is akin to bush dogs.
Yeah.
You know, their closest relative, this little squat thing,
It's the main
is
wolf.
the main wolf.
Yeah. Even it's just purely because all the others are no longer with us.
Yeah.
I personally think if you were to pick a bird that is in the Pelecaniformes that looks the most like a shoebill stork, it would not be the hammercop in my mind.
No.
It's the boatbill heron, which look like basically a shrunken down shoebill with the most eccentric hairstyle you've ever seen. They're an awesome little bird, the boatbill heron. So yeah, the one thing that sets it in Pelecaniformes, and the one thing that would make you think that it's not in Pelecaniformes, is that all members of that family have a hooked bill. So think of a pelican, it's got that hook on the end.
It's true, yeah.
Think of herons, they have a small hook. Ibises, they've basically exaggerated it a lot further, and the same with egrets. But the other thing that Pelecaniformes all have in common, apart from the shoebill, is all of their digits on their foot are webbed. Now, most other water birds have what's called I think it's the hallux, the dew claw at the back.
Yeah.
not webbed, but in pelicans it is. So these guys don't. They just have feet that look more like a stork's feet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's things that make them look like that. There's things that make them not look like that. But their scientific name, which I think is the best version of their name, Balaniceps rex, basically the whale-headed king. And if you take that naming logic, the same as we use for another animal that has rex in its name, Tyrannosaurus rex, this makes shoebills the B-rex.
Yes, and I particularly like this.
Yeah.
And I call it the B-rex.
I do as well. And
okay, I'm not the only one then.
Whenever I'm talking to a group of people about this particular bird, I do like to drop that little fact in there and go, well, if we can call that a T-Rex, why can't this be the B-Rex?
Yeah.
That makes it even cooler. So yeah, it's the whale-headed king, or the bird king. So how on earth do we end up with, well, shoebills looking like they do? They branched off from their pelican ancestors around 30 to 40 million years ago. Pelicans are far more ancient than these guys. So the pelicaniformes have always been water birds. So yeah, they basically specced out into a very different ecological niche. Slow-moving swampy waters, thick reed beds and papyrus, oxygen-poor wetlands where fish have to surface to breathe. And the shoebill is essentially the final form of a swamp ambush predator that you can get, basically. Every feature, its height, its patience, its bill shape, its slow and very precise movements are evolved to basically exploit this adaptation to fish having to come to the surface in poor oxygen environments and make it themselves exposed. So it's not primitive in any way, it's specialized.
Yes.
So where are you going to find the B-Rex? Well, if you were to go looking off the coast of Costa Rica on an island, well, you're not going to find it because it's not there. Shoebills occupy a relatively narrow band in central tropical Africa. The largest populations occur in South Sudan, especially in the Sud, which is one of the world's largest wetlands. Uganda, particularly the Mabamba swamp on Lake Victoria. In Rwanda, you'll find them in the Akagera wetlands. Tanzania, the vast Katavi, Rufiji basins. I am butchering all of these, I'm sorry. Zambia, you'll find them in the Bangawila wetlands, basically a global stronghold for these birds. So they are found in that sort of narrow strip. Essentially, if you were to draw a line down the Rift Valley, you'll get to where these birds are, because it's those wetland areas. So their preferred habitat is obviously wetlands. They basically have to have shallow waters, usually stagnant waters, anywhere between 10 to 50 centimeters deep. So not massively deep areas of water. Dense papyrus reed beds. This is probably the biggest thing, is they need those reed beds to hide in, to nest around as well, and also wait undisturbed. Floating vegetation mats that you'll find in these areas as well, that can support their weight, because, like I say, they can weigh up to 7 kilos, which, is not a huge amount, but is heavy for a bird. Obviously, abundant large fish populations as well, especially those that need to surface to breathe. So things like tilapia and lungfish and others that are in and around these areas. So if you don't have large fish, you don't have these birds, because there's not enough food for them. So their habitat is so specific that even the slightest disturbance, either drainage, burning, noise, boat traffic, can make the area unsuitable for them, and they will disappear. That's just how affected by humans and the area around them that they can be. But we'll get to that in a bit. So when it comes to their hunting, they are masters of standing still, a strategy requiring extreme patience and precision, but also very low amounts of energy. Just basically the stand and wait. And having been around these birds, they do stand still, stock still. And most of the footage you'll see of them is of this bird standing completely still. And it's not because it's thinking, how am I going to murder you? They're just standing there. They just, they freeze, stand completely motionless, often for up to an hour at a time. And that's basically them slowing their metabolism down. Even their breathing becomes noticeably, sort of harder to spot. This makes them nearly invisible to any fish that are watching them from below the surface. Now, they will stand there waiting by the surface, and many fish in these African wetlands will need to come to the surface at some point to take a gulp of oxygen. This is when they have their explosive strike forward. The shoebill will launch forward in a lightning fast lunge, and it's basically mouth open, straight onto their prey, scooping up everything. They don't precisely aim for the fish. They know where the fish is and they go straight forward. And if they end up taking a mouthful of mud, plants, and water, they're fine with that. They will basically then shake and vigorously filter out all the rubbish whilst holding on to their food. And that beak will do the dirty work. It'll crush and kill the animal pretty quickly. They'll then swallow the prey whole, because as a bird, they obviously don't have any teeth, but as a water bird as well, they don't have any talons or anything to be able to hold and rip their prey apart. They are just grab a hold, swallow it back. So some of the things that are on the menu: tilapia, catfish, water snakes as well, eels, frogs, young crocodiles, which should be rather interesting because they're obviously a bit more armor plated than a lot of these other things. Monitor lizards and rodents. Basically, anything that sort of crosses their path, probably in the water, is going to be on the menu. So shoebills will eat big prey because it's efficient. One lungfish can weigh over 1 kilo and have more calories for its amount of effort than if they were to go for lots of little fish, like an egret or a heron would. Most large birds make honks, croaks, screams, trumpets, or squawks. Shoebills, they make a clattering sound that's a bit like a biological jackhammer. It's a rapid sound and often described as a machine gun clattering, a woodpecker having an existential crisis, an avian typewriter possessed by a demon, and many others. But basically, that is one of quite a few different calls that they have. They make a variety of other things, like small, sort of quite throaty calls that are not like deep, but almost like the raptor sounds that you hear in Jurassic Park, like slighter sounds. We're not talking like the calls and everything that they make, but this is basically a clacking of their beak, which is done by a lot of different birds, as usually as a nest greeting or as a threat display, or when interacting with chicks. Now, the one that I've worked with, she does it because she's hand-reared. So she basically thinks she's people. And so when she sees people that she knows, she's happy to see them. So she makes that sound. And it's a lovely sound. Like I say, it's a really distinctive sound. And when people hear it, they kind of know what they're hearing. But it's not all the time. So another thing that these guys are quite famous for, less so these days. In fact, this is the main thing that I remember about them when I first heard about them as, say, a kid, is that they have a dark side to them when it comes to rearing chicks. You don't tend to hear as much about that these days. If anything, it's more about the fact that they bow when they greet each other, and it's similar to the hippogriff in Harry Potter and all that rubbish. But anyway, shoebills build large nest mounds, sometimes 2 to 3 meters across, on floating vegetation. Now, both parents take turns to incubate the eggs, shading the nest with their wings to prevent overheating. They will also go and take gulps of water in their bill and drop it on the eggs if it's extreme heat. So basically drenching them, which doesn't seem the most logical, but it's a good way of cooling them down in extreme sort of temperatures. In the middle of an African summer, you could imagine that. So their clutch size is about 2 eggs usually, but only one chick usually survives. And that's due to basically the siblings beating the heck out of each other to the point where one will die. They'll dominate over each other. And this will also be in the form of food demands as well. So the most, the biggest, usually the first chick that hatches, is the one that will dominate and take the food and grow the biggest and will eventually kill its sibling.
Wow.
Now, that seems really counterproductive. The stronger chick, like I say, will monopolize this food and eventually push the other one to the point where it dies. And this is called obligate siblicide. It's an evolutionary tactic that when you try and tell people about this, it's a hard one for people to grasp because in humans, as a primate, we take full care of every single offspring that we have to the highest degree because
Yes.
our reproductive strategy is to invest a lot of time and effort into all the offspring, in that sort of situation. But for these guys, essentially raising one strong chick is safer than risking two weak ones. It's a survival strategy that relies on a harsh but effective method. Essentially, the second chick is a backup.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong and that main chick is, say, killed by a predator or for whatever reason, or it's a massively good year and there is lots of food, they will both survive. And you end up with twice the amount. But it's an insurance policy, essentially, which sounds horrible from a human perspective, but for these birds, it's worked for a very long period of time.
Yeah.
So I did point out that these birds are quite attuned to their environment and that humans can pose quite a big threat to them that will cause them to disappear. And these are a bird that is vulnerable. They're estimated to be around 3,300 to around 5,300 individuals in the wild. Now, their biggest threats, as you could probably guess, is habitat loss from wetland drainage for agriculture.
Yep.
Rice paddies is actually a big one. You don't tend to think of Africa and rice paddies,
No.
but rice is a very water-intensive crop. Livestock grazing, settlement expansions, and the changes that destroy these shallow, oxygen-poor wetlands. Basically, if they become drained, you've got nowhere for these birds to be able to sort of find food or nest. So fire as well is another big problem. Papyrus swamps are sometimes burned to clear land, usually for crops and then or for very short-term game. The exact same reason that people slash and burn agriculture all over the world.
Yeah.
And this will destroy nests and feeding grounds. The illegal wildlife trade. Shoebills fetch enormous prices on the exotic pet trade, sometimes up to $10,000 per bird, and chicks are often stolen from their nests. The virality of this bird on the internet, basically, it joins the same sort of crowd as things like meerkats, clownfish, all of these other animals that because they become popular, because people find them cute, because people find them interesting, people will throw money at it. And basically people will go and steal them from the wild. Climate change is obviously changing the water levels of these wetlands, disrupting breeding and feeding, and essentially ecotourism. Now, ecotourism is one of these things that can be really, really good for a region. Think of the Virunga in Africa, where you've got people going in to see gorillas, and that is driving the local economy for people who live in the areas, wanting to protect the gorillas because economically it's important to them. Well, the same sort of thing has happened in particularly high-profile shoebill areas in Uganda and Zambia. There basically have been harmful practices such as boats driving far too close to nests. So you'll go out on some of these boats into these swamps and wetland areas, and you'll get as close to a shoebill to be able to take your photo. Now, obviously, it doesn't take much to then go, well, if we can get a bit closer, we can get a better photo, so the tourists will be happy, so they'll come back. And you end up with this awful sort of cycle of people doing more and more all the time to try and, one-up the competition. And all that does is basically disturb the birds. So guides then trampling reed beds to provide better viewing angles, so moving grasses out of the way. Drones are another big issue as well. Drones are obviously wonderful if they are used in the right manner, for filming.
Respectfully.
Used respectfully. And at a distance for things like this. But flying a drone over close and having someone who is not aware of what's going on is going to cause all sorts of issues. Mother birds being flushed off their eggs, causing overheating or predation because they are being stressed out by people in the area. And then chicks dying after tourists approaching too closely as well, and the parents abandoning them.
Yeah.
Shoebills are easily stressed during the breeding season, and one disrupted nest can mean the loss of an entire season's offspring. Like say, 2 chicks, that's it. And responsible tourism is crucial. Distance, silence, and respect is another big thing. Now, the other issue that I didn't mention that I should is areas around these places have also introduced new hydroelectric dams, which are then damming rivers and changing water courses. And there is basically a big impact on these birds from our impact on wetlands. Wetlands are already delicate ecosystems and are very much within a thin band of being able to operate. And this is one of the apex predators that lives in those ecosystems. And if you knock out the apex predator, you end up losing a lot of stuff down the line.
Surely, but I mean, that would be surely that's common sense though, because you put. I mean, I know people need power and stuff, but damming up rivers that these animals live on. This is the type of animal that, as you say, it relies on water flow. Its prey relies on water flow and being able to traverse through these river systems.
Yep.
So too do plants that it requires to build nests.
But as you should be aware, money, because money and power, though. So anyway, basically, the shoebill is one of the world's most captivating birds. Its stern stare, although, like I say, it's not staring at you because it's planning on killing you. Its colossal bill, its towering height, and ghost-like stillness draw people in instantly, whether in the wild or in captivity. But we shouldn't reduce this bird to a simple meme of a prehistoric monster or dinosaur bird. It's a masterpiece of avian evolution, an ambush specialist, a patient strategist, and a swamp-dwelling monarch. A bird perfectly adapted to catch large, slippery fish with minimal effort. The shoebill isn't ancient. It isn't evil. It isn't a relic. It's a whale-headed king, the B-Rex, a testament to what evolution can create when it has a swamp, a lot of time, and a single idea. How do I get that big fish into my mouth as efficiently as possible? Basically, the shoebill, it's with style. So they're a really stunning bird that I think everyone should at least try and see one in their lifetime. And I think there's probably at least one on every continent, obviously except Antarctica, in a zoo somewhere. So they're really worth seeing. The other thing I wanted to add into this is, we think of shoebills as being quite big, but at one point there was a 6-foot tall shoebill.
Wow.
That was a prehistoric one, that basically a scaled up version, which would have been a fun species to come across.
Yeah.
That would have just stared you down and gone, you look like food. I'll eat you instead.
Call them both of us, then.
Yeah, basically, that'd be an awesome bird to see. But there you go. There's the shoebill, an internet celebrity, I'd say. But
definitely,
so much more.
Very cool bird.
Should we head into our emails?
Let's do it.
Bing! You've got mail. Ooh, it's an email.
Right, well, we're into this week's emails. We're going to start things off with last week's question, which was, what is your favourite creature from the Jurassic Park franchise of movies? So starting things off, Jen Babs said, I like Compies, or Compsognathus, also the Velociraptors. Mosasaurus was pretty cool too. Notice you said creatures. I believe Jeff Goldblum would come under that category. Yes, he would. And as you'll probably see, there's a theme running amongst people who've commented on this one.
Kelsey Watts comes to us with, hang on, I'm going to have to do
You're going to have to do it in the voice.
Yeah. A packy, oh, hell, the fat head with the bald spot. Friar Tuck.
Pachycephalosaurus. Yeah, good one. My other half has put Mr. DNA.
Oh, Mr. DNA, where did you come from?
I'm Mr. DNA.
Just one drop of your blood contains billions of cells.
You know what? I genuinely like Mr. DNA. He's one of my favourite characters.
I think he's a good character. Yeah, I like him. Jess Owens has just put a photograph of Jeff Goldblum.
I mean, in
Injured
his
Jeff Goldblum.
his most classic pose.
Yeah, yeah. There's actually a Facebook page for this photo.
No,
where they
it's
just
not this
paste-
photo. I mean,
Have they changed it now?
no, it was other pictures of Jeff.
I thought
Goldblum.
it was this photo. They just post the same photo of Jeff Goldblum every day.
I mean, yes,
Yeah.
there is. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Drew was a member of it.
I think I'm a member of it as well, just for the sake of it. It's Jeff Goldblum. Why not? Okay, so closing out, Philip Schofield has put Laura Dern. So if we can basically gather something. You're all focusing on the humans in this.
I think this is very telling of our audience. I think perhaps we should have worded the question more carefully.
I mean, yeah, creature does open it up to humans as well.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
I'm afraid it's gonna. Just spoilers. This theme is going to continue into the YouTube comments too.
Good. Well, that was last week's question. This week's question is, well, what do you think this shoebill is thinking? With a very classic picture of the shoebill staring you down the
Yes.
the lens. So, Aaron, what do you think that shoebill is thinking?
I think. Good. At last, we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last, we will have revenge.
Okay, you've gone straight for it's evil. That's fine. Just playing to the stereotype.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm thinking it's going to go with. Oh, did I leave the oven on?
I thought you were being serious for a minute there. It's the way you broke. Well,
He's thinking very hard. It does look like he's thinking very hard.
you've paid the ultimate price for your lack of vision. No, you will die.
So yeah, let us know what you think the shoebill is thinking. Sort of, what does the fox say? Situation. You can say ba-ding ding ding da ding ding. No, wait, that's the frog, isn't
That's a
it?
crazy fraud.
Yeah, I know animals.
Oh, that's a blast from the past that I'd hoped I'd never remember.
Yeah. Oh dear. Anyway,
Ugh.
let us know what you think on our Facebook page where that has gone up. You can also let us know on our YouTube comments, as well as if you want to send it in as an email out to remember what other ways you can get in contact with us.
A better mole quote for it would have been Kenobi. I know that Kenobi.
Now you're going to
That's in the desert.
there you go. There is your task. You've got to find some footage of a shoebill and put that Kenobi quote to it.
Okay.
If you can do that, I think that'll be impressive.
Okay. Let's see what I can do.
Yep. So yeah, well, we'll have a look at some of the other comments that have come in via our YouTube page. So
our YouTube page. So first up, Rosaline9961 says, for this week's question of favorite creature from the Jurassic franchise, I'll be given sort of a main pick answer and then two shout out answers. For the main pick, I'm going with the Velociraptors, sleek, agile predators with intelligence able to rival that of some of the human characters in the franchise. All color morphs designs have their unique flair to them. The JP3 ones potentially being my favorite. Yeah, I think we said this last week. The JP3 ones and the Lost World ones.
Yeah.
But the Jurassic World ones have that nice kind of color
they
to
don't
them
do
as
it for me.
well. I quite like them. To be fair,
Too grey.
she continues. My two shout out answers are the Parasaurolophus. I was hoping someone would name that one, and Brachiosaurus.
Yeah.
Beautiful creatures in their own right, but the sound. Excuse me. Sorry. The sound design for them is what hits it the hardest. I can't really pinpoint why I love the sound design so much. It's just pleasant social herbivore call that creates that feeling of being within the herd. And one day, I think we should actually do maybe like a short or a Patreon special thing where we actually go into how they made the sounds for Jurassic Park, because some of them are fantastic. So thanks for that comment.
Some of them are tortoises having sex.
Yes, indeed.
Which brings new meaning to what those dinosaurs sound like.
Yes, that's actually the raptor. The call for help.
Yeah.
The kind of cough noise that they make. Yeah. The second comment comes to us from Runnington, who says, for this week's question, Jeff Goldblum, especially after seeing the two new Wicked films, he makes me. And as a child, seeing And as a child seeing the first film, I was convinced he was actually a rock star. Plus, he has arguably the most iconic line in the film. For my second pick, as a stretch, would be John Williams' excellent score. Fair enough. I will just say,
What's his most iconic
small
line?
correction. I would like, firstly,
Well-
I'd like to know what you think his most iconic line is from the film. But I'd just like to be real nitpicky, and I'd say he has the most iconic lines
Yeah.
in the franchise because his lines improve in the second movie.
Oh,
I think.
definitely, definitely.
I love my favorite line of his is taking dinosaurs off this island is the worst idea in the long, sad history of bad ideas, and I'm going to be there when you learn that.
Well, no, I like from that same film is they say that talent skips a generation, so I'm going your kids will be smart as tax.
I like it also because this it's just so funny when he says when they're tracking, they've just tracked down Sarah, right? Like at the start when they first get to the island, they track down Sarah, and she goes up and she gets closer, and then she touches like it's closer, touch the baby. She can't
She has to
touch.
touch.
She can't touch. And in that same scene, they go, whoa. What you
Ooh,
expected, and he goes maybe large iguanas, and Ian Malcolm says, "Oh yeah, that's how it all starts." Ooh and ah, and then there's running and screaming.
But I'm assuming by what you're saying is the best line is probably life finds a way.
Yes, yeah, I
But
expect so.
I think you're right. There are many, many, many lines that
Must
he
go
has put forward.
faster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Remind me to thank John for a wonderful weekend.
What's he say? On the boat, he walks past John's nephew on the boat when they're trying to get the Rex back. But that line's good too. Oh, I can't remember. It's in San Diego. There's another part in San Diego where how are we going to find the buck? And just follow
Just
the
follow the
screams.
screen.
Yeah.
And it cuts perfectly, smash cut to two Japanese people standing there, pointing almost Godzilla-esque
Yeah.
style as the T-Rex comes towards them,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a lovely little homage there. But
I
yeah,
can't remember if it's that film or if it's the Godzilla film of that similar period. But in the trailer, there's a part that isn't in the movie where the Japanese people are running away and they say something like, "We left Tokyo for this," or something like that. Yeah.
I don't remember what that one's from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, that's all right. That's our.
Well, there you go. I think there you go. That's your follow-up question. Which line of Jeff Goldblum's were you talking about? And anyone else who wants to send any more quotes in, we'll quite happily sit here and recite them for some reason. But you can get in contact with us in a myriad of other ways, like I say, in our Facebook page, YouTube comments, TikTok, where we put up videos every day at the moment. Like I say, it's me building a Lego T-Rex. You can also send us an email to our email address, which is the nathistorykcupboard@gmail.com, if you want to do that. But you can... Oh, have we got any emails?
We do have
Oh,
emails,
should have probably gone and load that. So what emails have we got?
So first up comes to us from Big Pumba. He says, "Hi guys, Big Pumba here. My favorite Jurassic Park creatures are herbivores. My favorite Jurassic Park creatures, herbivores, have to go the Parasaurolophus. I really like the colors and the herds of them just look so good. And whenever I do play Jurassic Park Evolution, I simply have to have a large herd in the
And I'm
Parasaurolophus."
waiting for
I
him to
do as
say,
well.
and Jeff Goldblum now.
And Jeff got it. Carnivores, even though I am an Allosaurus man, you've made our board very happy. The Jurassic Park franchise once hurt my heart, soul, and my cholesterol levels.
Yeah, they do look a bit
Ugly and wrong, and a vomit face there. I am, however, a Jurassic Park Raptor fan. I'm sorry, I need to say this. How do you say that you don't like the look of?
Okay,
Like,
I will back
they're
him up.
all wrong.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
all wrong.
I'll back him up on this. The Raptors do look good from
They do look good.
their viewpoint.
They do
But-
look good.
My biggest gripe is the artwork that came out before the first. No, is it Dominion, the one with the volcano, isn't it?
No, that's Fallen Kingdom.
Right, that
Are
one.
you about to say about Baryonyx?
I'm about to say
I
Baryonyx.
knew it because I feel the same
hell
way.
did they do to that? The artwork for
It
that
looked
animal
wrong.
looked gorgeous.
Yeah,
And then they brought out this weird, ugly thing.
I don't know where that went wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, he continues, I am, however, a Jurassic Park raptor fan, and in particular, the Lost World tiger stripe raptors. They look like brutal film villains, as they should. I've always been a Jurassic Park fan, and for its accuracy sins, I like to take a step back and just enjoy the Dino movie film. Yeah, that's true of us all. P.S. Rexy is in a league of her own. Pointless to mention. She tickles my tisms. Prehistoric Planet. Finally, a documentary for a period after the dinosaurs worth its salt. It made me so happy to watch. I like all the points Gareth mentioned, and also have a take on the regard to missing names, etc., such as just labeling them scimitar-toothed cats, etc., rather than Homotherium. And I believe it enables it to be more accessible to the average viewer.
Yeah.
What I also like is its accessibility to younger audiences with regard to predation. Obviously, as adults, we understand things eat things to carry on, but children don't need to see insides on the outsides to learn about prehistory. And it goes hand in hand with my final points. Every single carnivore near enough fails a hunt.
It does in that.
That's pretty good.
It's quite disappointing for the carnivores. You're like, oh.
Showing how hard it is for carnivores. Absolutely right. Especially dealing with megafauna. Creatures so specialize in what they do, they don't have many other options than to eat what they're supposed to and catch these large prey items. My question to you guys is, what period or niche species would you guys like to see covered in an episode of a series?
Ooh.
For me, a Prehistoric Planet style documentary on hominids would be great, but it'd be hard to do, I'd imagine, in the sense of not modernizing the sapiens or portraying species such as Erectus as too Homo sapien, if that makes sense. I'd like to see clear behaviors that we can deduce from the fossil record. Anyway, enough rambling. If I'm not in touch before, have a great Christmas, everyone. Enjoy yourselves, stay safe, and be well. Stay wild. Big love, Big Pumba.
And good Christmas.
Very
Merry
much
Christmas
back
to you.
Yeah. Very much back to you.
I'd like to bounce off that point, actually. There has already been a Walking with Cavemen one that came out that was, good for its time, I suppose. I quite enjoyed it, but that was quite good, like, for what it is. But it would be nice to see. I think you could clearly see that they steered away from doing humans or hominids in Prehistoric Planet. The very end of it just mentions humans, like, and a new hunter has entered the arena, basically, sort of style of doing it. I would like to see more. If they're going to do a new series, I'd like to see a Permian one.
You stole my one.
It's, I mean, we have this sort of to bookend it, basically. People always go for the middle bit. I think before the dinosaurs is mad, and even the earliest starts of the dinosaurs would also be interesting. In fact, if they did a Triassic one where it is mostly
You've stolen both of mine.
mostly tiny dinosaurs
Yeah.
being hunted by giant crocodilians and all sorts of weird creatures like Sharingosaurus and that. You could quite easily do that, because I think that would be the best way to do it. But like I say, I've stolen both of the ones that you said, I'm guessing.
You've stolen both of mine, but luckily, it would have been in that order as well, Permian then Triassic. But luckily, whilst I was thinking of it and whilst you're talking, I thought the third thing that I'd quite like. See, I'd quite like to see, and you can dump this in any time period, really, I think. But I think I'd like to see series 1 in one location. So in Mongolia, in Asia.
Yeah.
Series 2, Africa.
Okay.
So
You want
really
geographical?
Hone in on these, because we always go to saber-toothed tiger, mammoth, Tyrannosaurus.
Well, now, did you just say saber-toothed tiger?
Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Smilodon fatalis. So it's always Smilodon fatalis as the woolly mammoth. There's Tyrannosaurus Rex.
That's what luckily they did not do with this.
Plesiosaurus. I would like us to focus on each series. And if you want, you can do it like Marvel. So phase 1 is the Permian saga, and it will be what was in Africa during the Permian period. I know it's not Africa before that person comments.
It was still the African continent.
It's what became Africa, but in the Permian period, what was there? And then you get to different these seasons, and then you return to these locations the next season. And the next season is a different time period, and how it's developed, the story continues, and all that. That's where I would go if I
If you were
because
doing
you
it.
stole Permian and Triassic
Is it-
from me.
It's not Kevin Feige that does it. Is it Prehistoric Planet or is it
No, it's John Favreau.
John Favreau?
Yeah, Iron Man and Mandalorian
Right.
fame.
I mean, they're good enough.
I suppose also Friends.
Did you do that as well?
He was a if I remember right, because he was very young at the time, and also I was very young, and I don't really remember Friends too much. But if I remember right, he was an MMA fighter who ended up with dating Monica, is it?
I don't know.
I don't
Any
know.
Friends fans, tell us in the comments.
Yeah, it's not Marvel, so I don't know. I'm not as clued into that.
Yeah. So yeah, that is one way that you can get in contact with us. That is through our emails. But another way you can get in contact with us is by becoming a Patreon, which we're going to tell you about now.
Every week, we like to give a little love back by shouting out the names of our wonderful Patreon supporters.
That's right. These are the cupboard dwellers who are kind enough to support us through a monetary contribution, for which we are eternally grateful and grateful beyond words.
And those people are, of course, Fogtober, Jen Greenhall, Connie P, Chelsea McKee, Nick to Nick,
Owen Cox.
and Matt Geddy.
Guys, your financial contributions are actively helping us out here in the Natural History Cupboard in a myriad of ways, including developing our new studio, planning excursions and being able to go out and film on location, considering technical upgrades, and actually making the jump from a solely audio-based podcast to the now growing YouTube channel. And we really can't thank you enough for that.
Now, we appreciate all of our cupboard dwellers and the support you offer us through listening, liking, sharing, and subscribing. But if you feel we've earned it and you're considering joining our Patreon, there are two options through which you can do so.
That's the Nature Nerds and the Animal Ambassador tiers, which you can find on the Patreon website or links through our social media as well. And each one having different benefits for you to enjoy.
And now back to Gareth and Erin in the studio.
So yeah, a massive thank you to our Patreons there. We couldn't do what we do without you. And we thank everything that you guys do for us. So that pretty much brings us to the end of this week's episode. Big
It
thank
does.
you, Aaron.
Thank you.
It's okay.
And thank you, guys.
Yes, thank the SHOEBILLs. And we will see you next time here in the Natural History Cupboard. Bye. I'd like to be able to make the beak clacking sound, but I can't.
It won't come up on
Not even close. So here you go. Here's my joke. Obviously, there's not very many SHOEBILL jokes out there.
No, I assume
But
not.
what's the difference between a fly and a bird?
I don't know what is the difference between a fly and a bird.
A bird can fly, but a fly can't bird.
This is true. This is very true.
And that's not as bad as your joke from the other week.
No, it's not.